Okay, this episode sure gave me a lot to talk about. Yes, the 4th episode of WandaVision has premiered, so now I talk about it with spoilers once again. So full spoiler warning, if you have not watched this episode yet, you should probably watch it before watching this video. Unless you don't care, in which case, okay. Alright, there's a lot to cover, so I'm just gonna dive right in and say that my predictions from last week about what this episode would entail were pretty right. In this episode, we certainly do see more of S.W.O.R.D., including Agent Monica Rambeau, or Captain Rambeau, and Jimmy Woo, and Darcy Lewis. So I was pretty spot on, so bragging rights. But really, this episode is the first 3 episodes of WandaVision, but told from S.W.O.R.D's perspective. But it actually starts out with Monica Rambeau coming back from the snap. As in Thanos' snap, she got blipped back. So yeah, she was one of the unfortunate victims of Thanos' decimation. So she comes back and yeah, it's 5 years later and there's all this chaos in the hospital. Apparently she was tending to her mother, Maria Rambeau, who we knew in Captain Marvel, who I guess she had cancer and I guess she survived Thanos' snap, but during those 5 years, she died from that cancer, which sucks. Yeah, it does. She was a cool character in Captain Marvel. And apparently she helped found S.W.O.R.D. Yeah, I guess S.W.O.R.D. has been around for a while and we just didn't know about it. But actually that does make sense now. You look at that post-credit scene from Spider-Man Far From Home, when Nick Fury is up there in that space base, we're all like, what is that? Is that S.W.O.R.D.? Yeah, it's S.W.O.R.D. I'm pretty sure now. But anyway, back to this. Monica Rambeau is assigned to this Westview case where she meets up with Jimmy Woo from Ant-Man and the Wasp. He still works for the FBI, and he flew here to New Jersey from Oakland to work on this case. Now, they go up to the border of Westview, they talk to these cops, and according to them, this town never existed? Like it was erased from the archives like Kamino in Attack of the Clones. Which, don't tell me it doesn't exist, Jocasta knew. I'm Obi-Wan and I know better than that. I know that it was erased from the archive memory. I'm pretty sure a similar things going on here in WandaVision. Bear with me on this, because here comes a theory. My friend and I were talking about this after the episode was over. Since now it looks like Wanda has more control over this reality than I originally thought, last week anyway. Maybe when Wanda showed up in Westview, she took over this town, but she also erased it from other people's minds. That way, no one would disturb her, and she could just live alone idyllically in this reality. But then that does beg the question, how did S.W.O.R.D. get a hold of this case? We find out that that helicopter toy we saw in episode 2, that was a S.W.O.R.D. drone that they sent in from outside. So yeah, all these things we're seeing from the outside in the first 3 episodes, the helicopter toy, the beekeeper, they were all sent in from S.W.O.R.D., but we figured that already. I mean, the beekeeper had a S.W.O.R.D. logo on his back, so yeah, that much we knew already. So Monica Rambeau goes up to the barrier and she gets sucked inside this realm. And from there, I guess she just had to play it by ear. So yeah, she decided to play along with this reality, acting smart on her part, leading up to her big mistake in the 3rd episode, which we saw. When she brings up Ultron, she's trying to get through to Wanda, you know? But hey, we all know how that went. It didn't quite work out, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about Darcy. Yep, Kat Dennings is back as Darcy Lewis from Thor and Thor the Dark World, and she's still funny as ever. She hasn't changed a bit. Like her first scene, she's in the back of that van with a couple of other scientists. That one guy was like, I'm a chemical engineer, and she's like, no one cares. I'm not gonna lie, I laughed out loud at that. I thought it was funny. But she also actually contributed a lot to S.W.O.R.D. here. They brought her in because she's an astrophysicist, used to work for Jane Foster. I guess she doesn't anymore. But it's funny, I feel like she contributed more to this little half-an-hour episode than she contributed to 2 full-length 2-hour Thor movies. I can't be the only one who feels that way, right? Cause like it's her equipment that gives S.W.O.R.D. the inside peek into Westview. You know, she's picking up the broadcast and getting the TV signal. She's the person who we saw watching the episode at the end of the 1st episode. And so that's how they see, oh, Wanda Maximoff is in there. Wait a minute, Vision's there too. But he's dead. But one thing I noticed during this whole observation conversation is that they mentioned that the energy coming out of this realm is like an ancient energy, like dating back to the Big Bang. They mentioned that, and okay, I got a couple of questions or theories about that. This ancient energy could be from Wanda's powers. You know, they came from the Mind Stone, which is one of the Infinity Stones, which were products of the Big Bang, according to Wong anyway, who is a sorcerer, so I'm pretty sure he knew what he was talking about. So that could be one answer, that the energy coming from this realm is an ancient energy coming from Wanda's powers, which come from an ancient source. Or this ancient energy dating back to the Big Bang could be from something else entirely, some other third-party external source, like maybe Mephisto, you know, the devil. I would imagine the devil and hell have been around since the Big Bang as well, in this Marvel universe anyway. So there's another theory, you know, there's another thing that this ancient energy could be coming from. So now S.W.O.R.D. is monitoring and recording all these episodes, and I like the fact that they have some of the same questions that we fans have, like why sitcoms? Why of all aspects of life is this reality taking the shape of a sitcom? And why is it going to different time periods so fast? And what's up with the hexagons? I noticed, well, thanks to New Rockstars anyway, that each of the episodes have brought up this hexagon shape. I don't know why, but I guess it's gonna come into play later. This episode acknowledged it. And they're finding the real names of all these people, the extras, the commoners. You see this wall that they have everyone's information on, but if you look closely at it, you look at Agnes's form, she doesn't have an ID. Everyone else does, but she does not. So what is Agnes's deal? I feel like now more than ever, yeah, she is Agatha Harkness for sure. Which means more than likely that there's a third party in play. Agnes is hiding something. That's just like one of the most intriguing things about the show right now. What is Agnes's deal? Also worth noting is that all the weird moments that we saw in the first 3 episodes were cut from the broadcasts to S.W.O.R.D. Like example, when Jimmy Woo was contacting Wanda through the radio, and that whole weird moment happened where the radio exploded and the glass shattered in Dottie's hand, that whole thing was cut from the broadcast. S.W.O.R.D. didn't see that on their monitor, which made me think, okay, so is that like a breach in that reality? That's really as simple as I can put it for now. Like, those are the only words I could come up with. I can't really explain what I mean there, so if you can get that, then good for you. Yeah, like the reality is being breached right there, and therefore that wouldn't show up on the broadcast, or something like that. You know what I'm trying to say? Maybe? Or actually, yeah, Darcy does say someone is censoring the broadcast. And during all those weird moments, Agnes was not present. So maybe that someone censoring the broadcasts was Agnes. Agatha Harkness? I want to know what her deal is. Damn it. And then we actually see the moment where Wanda kicks Monica Rambeau out of this reality. She's like, no, you're not my friend. You're not my neighbor. You're an intruder. And then she uses her magic to push Wanda through her walls and out of the realm. And then Vision comes back inside. We saw that last week as well. But then Wanda turns around and all of a sudden Vision is like this corpse. It was really creepy looking. It freaked me out. I was like, nah. That was scary, dude. What the fuck happened there? Is Wanda like reanimating Vision's corpse? Actually, that could be a theory. Maybe that is happening. I don't know. Wanda Frankenstein over here. That would actually add a little bit of a horror element to the show, which is completely welcome. I loved that though, that was spooky. And then we see Monica Rambeau on the ground and S.W.O.R.D. goes up to her and she's like, it's all Wanda. This is all Wanda's doing. Which, alright, I guess that would make sense. Yeah, this whole thing is Wanda's doing. Wanda made this reality for herself, which is the theory I had when the trailers were coming out. So when Jimmy Woo was asking Wanda who's doing this to her, yeah, it could have been Wanda doing this herself. That is a theory, but then again, the only thing that's making me go, maybe not, is Agnes. Because again, Agnes had no ID on that wall, so I don't think that Agnes is from around here. I think she is representing some third party. Maybe she's Agatha Harkness, maybe she's working with Mephisto. I'm pretty sure we'll find out in later episodes. Maybe this whole Westview reality did come from Wanda. Maybe she made a deal with the devil. That's a popular phrase. With Mephisto and Agatha Harkness and I have no idea. But again, I like having no idea. I love this mystery aspect because now I'm intrigued as fuck. So yeah, all in all, this was a great episode of WandaVision. I loved seeing S.W.O.R.D.'s point of view. I love that we finally now have Monica Rambeau and Jimmy Woo and Darcy Lewis in play. As for next week, I don't know if we're going to be spending more time with S.W.O.R.D. I kind of doubt it. I feel like next week we're going to be back with Wanda and Vision in Westview, and we're going to be going from the 70s to the 80s. Because this episode gave us so much intrigue, and now I just feel like they're going to leave us dangling, because that's what they tend to do. Or at least Mandalorian certainly did that a lot. So that's my prediction for next week. I feel like we're going to be back with Wanda and Vision in Westview. Or maybe we'll see both. Maybe we'll see both Westview and S.W.O.R.D. Maybe. But for now, episode 4 of WandaVision. Have you watched it yet? Well, I hope you have. What do you think about it? What are your thoughts and theories and questions? And what do you think the deal is with Agnes? Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe.